Welcome to the 700 Club. Israel and the U.S. are facing off over the future of Gaza. Benjamin Netanyahu is firmly rejecting the U.S. proposal for a Palestinian state.
So now the Biden administration may be looking beyond the prime minister and meeting with opposition leaders. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu once again stated his opposition to a Palestinian state.
I tell this truth to our American friends, and I also stopped the attempt to impose a reality on us that would harm Israel's security. The Prime Minister needs to be capable of saying no to our friends, saying no when necessary, and saying yes when possible.
He also laid out his plans for Gaza.
The destruction of Hamas, complete demilitarization under Israeli control, and a civilian administration that does not preach the destruction of Israel, does not teach the destruction of Israel, and does not send terror toward Israel. I think these things are not that complex. I would be happy if Gazans can be found to do this.
Following U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's recent trip meeting with Middle East leaders, the State Department is laying out a different vision.
Without a tangible path to the establishment of a Palestinian state, there are no other partners in the region who are going to step forward and help with the reconstruction of Gaza. There are no other partners in the region who are going to step forward and help establish Palestinian-led governance of Gaza.
Given the continuing disagreement, NBC News now reports the Biden administration could be looking for another leader beyond Netanyahu, reportedly meeting with Israeli opposition leaders. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, Israeli President Isaac Herzog explained his country's feelings about October 7th and beyond.
Israelis lost trust in the peace processes because they could see that terror is glorified by our neighbors.
He also addressed suffering in Gaza.
I'm not shying away from the human tragedy in Gaza. And you want to know something? We care. We care. It is pain for us that our neighbors are suffering so much. But how else can we defend ourselves if our enemies decided to entrench themselves in an infrastructure of terror of unbelievable size?
Meanwhile, Israel marked what it sees as the saddest birthday in the world, as Kafir Bibas, the youngest Hamas hostage, turned 1 on Thursday. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
I want to show you Kafir's picture, and as you look at this picture of Kafir, as you look at this wonderful year-old baby, bring him home now. You look at his face and you go, he turned 1 year old yesterday. He did it in a terror tunnel in Gaza. This is the face of the hostages. Now, looking at Kafir, you have the U.S. government come and tell you that somehow or other you have to find a path to peace, a path to statehood for the very terrorists who have taken hostages, who have murdered your civilians and are continuing to fire rockets, and have built an entire terror network structure underground in Gaza. They've done that with all the humanitarian aid that the West has given them. And you're saying, well, we have to now structure the peace. Are you kidding? And if you aren't willing to structure the peace, I'm going to reach out to your political adversaries and try to change the government of Israel. None of this makes any sense to me. Here's the reality. The Palestinians, whether they were in Gaza or in Ramallah, they support the martyrs. They support the terrorists who are trying to kill Israeli citizens. And they do it very tangibly. They offer them a salary. Here's the other startling fact. Congress is finally holding hearings on UNRWA to determine what happens with the funds. So it's our taxpayer dollars going to UNRWA. There's already proof. The Hamas terrorists were on the payroll of UNRWA in Gaza. There's already proof of that. There's already proof that the aid has been diverted to help Hamas. This is already proven, but they're finally holding hearings on it. They should follow what the Trump administration did. They completely cut off the funding. Let us not negotiate with terrorists. The primary message needs to continually be, release the hostages. Let Kafir come home. Stop the violence, stop the terrorists, stop the rocket attacks. Only then can there be peace. And until that time, we should fully support Israel as they try to bring their citizens home. That is very clear, it's very simple, and it's really easy to follow. Anything else, in my view, makes no sense. In other news, more than 36 people have died due to the dangerous weather this week. Ephraim Graham has that story and more from our CBN newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, the extreme weather is to blame for at least 41 deaths this week. In Oregon, a mother and father died when a power line fell on their car during an ice storm. Their infant survived, but a woman's brother died trying to save them. In Michigan, rescuers enlisted the help of a man's best friend, a dog, delivering a rope and a rescue disc to his owner who fell through the ice. More cold is coming with wind chill plunging temperatures below zero across large parts of the United States, and more snow is falling on the northeast today, with some areas expected to get as much as 6 inches. Thousands are expected to brave snowy conditions in the nation's capital for today's March for Life. Ending abortion in America is a driving campaign issue for many voters as the nation eyes the November elections. In Maryland and New York, people will get to weigh in with ballot measures protecting access to abortion. 9 other states are considering similar ballot initiatives. Meanwhile, Iowa could add a measure to restrict abortion access. You can watch CBN's coverage of the 51st Annual March for Life today. It'll be on the CBN News Channel, also on the CBN News app and our YouTube channel. It begins at noon Eastern Standard Time.